The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." You've probably heard the saying, "You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." But have you ever wondered why this ancient wisdom feels so relevant in our modern world of social media connections and digital relationships? Well, today we're going to explore that idea through a Stoic lens. We will discuss the 7 types of people who can derail your progress in Stoic philosophy and how to navigate these challenging relationships. But this isn't just another video about toxic people. This is a deep dive into the psychology of human behavior, the neuroscience of social influence, and the practical application of Stoic wisdom in your daily life. Before we begin, I would appreciate if you would like the video so that you can help me to continue spreading the Stoic philosophy. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you to subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any video. Let me share with you 3 powerful stories that transformed everything I thought I knew about relationships. Story number 1. Sarah was a talented marketing executive stuck in a dead-end job for 5 years. She blamed her boss, her company, and the industry for her lack of progress. Every conversation was filled with complaints about unfair treatment and missed opportunities. Then something remarkable happened. She joined a mastermind group of ambitious entrepreneurs. Within 6 months, she quit her job, started her own agency, and doubled her income. What changed? She replaced her circle of complainers with a community of builders and achievers. Story number 2. Michael struggled with anxiety and depression for years. He was surrounded by well-meaning friends who constantly told him to just be positive and that everything happens for a reason. Their toxic positivity made him feel broken and misunderstood. When he finally found a therapist who validated his struggles and taught him authentic emotional processing, his mental health transformed dramatically. Story number 3. Emma ran a small bakery that was barely surviving. Her biggest client was a drama magnate who constantly created emergencies and demanded immediate attention. Emma spent 80% of her time managing this client's drama while her business suffered. When she finally set boundaries and focused on her ideal clients, her revenue tripled in just 4 months. These stories illustrate a fundamental truth Epictetus understood 2,000 years ago. The people we surround ourselves with don't just influence us, they shape our reality. They affect our energy, our decisions, our beliefs, and ultimately our destiny. Modern research confirms this wisdom. Studies show that emotions are contagious, stress can spread through social networks, and your income is likely within 20% of the average of your closest friends. This isn't about judging others or becoming socially isolated. It's about making conscious choices about who gets access to your mind, your heart, and your time. In the next 40 minutes, we're going to explore 7 types of people that Stoicism warns us about. More importantly, we'll develop practical strategies for handling each type while maintaining your virtue and integrity. You'll learn the psychology behind these behaviors, the neuroscience of social influence, and specific Stoic techniques for protecting your peace while still being a good person. This video will give you the tools to transform your relationships and, by extension, transform your life. Are you ready to become the architect of your social environment? Let's begin this journey together. Number 1. The complainer. We all have that friend, family member, or coworker who seems to find fault in everything. Whether it's the weather, their job, or even the food at a popular restaurant, they never miss an opportunity to express their dissatisfaction. But have you ever wondered why some people complain constantly while others seem to find joy in the same circumstances? The answer lies in our brain chemistry and evolutionary psychology. Complaining actually triggers the release of dopamine in the brain, creating a temporary feeling of satisfaction. It's like a mental junk food that feels good in the moment, but leaves us nutritionally depleted. Our ancestors needed to be vigilant about potential threats. Complaining about problems helped them identify dangers and find solutions. But in our modern world, this survival mechanism often becomes dysfunctional. Complaining becomes identity, attention becomes the goal, and problems become the currency of social connection. Now you might wonder, why should this concern me? I can just ignore them. Well, that's easier said than done. Consistent exposure to such negativity has a draining effect on your mental well-being, slowly depleting your reservoir of emotional energy. Research from neuroscientists shows that exposure to negative complaints can actually rewire your brain for negativity. Your mirror neurons fire when you hear someone complain, causing you to experience similar negative emotions even when the complaints have nothing to do with you. Let me share a detailed workplace scenario that illustrates this perfectly. Sarah worked in accounting with a colleague named Mark, who complained constantly. The coffee was too weak. The software was outdated. Management didn't appreciate his contributions. Clients were unreasonable. Every morning began with a 20-minute complaint session. Every meeting included his grievances. Every lunch was filled with negativity. At first, Sarah tried to ignore it. Then she tried to cheer him up. Then she tried to solve his problems. Nothing worked. Worse, she found herself starting to complain more too. She'd go home and vent to her husband about work. She'd notice flaws in restaurants and stores. She'd become more critical of her own performance. Mark's complaining was contagious. The impact on the team was measurable. Productivity decreased by 15%. 3 team members requested transfers, and Sarah's own performance reviews declined. She was increasingly disenchanted with her job and even with life in general. This is how complainers derail your progress. They don't just drain your energy, they change your perspective. They train your brain to focus on problems instead of solutions. Here's another scenario from the service industry. Jennifer owned a boutique hotel with an excellent reputation, but one client, Mr. Henderson, complained about everything. The room temperature, the pillow firmness, the breakfast options, the lighting in the hallway. His complaints took up hours of staff time each week. Other guests could sense the negative energy. Employees dreaded his visits. Jennifer found herself constantly apologizing and offering discounts. Her staff turnover increased, and the hotel's online reviews started mentioning tense atmosphere. The financial impact was staggering. Mr. Henderson's business accounted for only 5% of revenue, but his complaints consumed 20% of management time and cost the hotel an estimated $50,000 in lost business and discounts. Family dynamics can be even more challenging. Think about holiday gatherings. That one relative who complains about the food, the other guests, the timing, the weather, the conversation topics. What should be a joyful celebration becomes a tension-filled event. Everyone walks on eggshells trying to avoid triggering another complaint session. Children learn this behavior too. They watch how adults handle problems, and they internalize the idea that complaining is the primary way to handle dissatisfaction. So, how does Stoicism help us deal with a complainer? There are several advanced strategies you can employ. First, limit your exposure to this individual whenever you can. This isn't about being rude. It's about protecting your mental environment. If that's not possible, perhaps because they're a family member or colleague, then your second option is to mentally distance yourself during their diatribes. Think of their complaints as a passing storm, loud and unsettling, but ultimately temporary and powerless against the unmovable mountain that is your own inner tranquility. Marcus Aurelius practiced a technique called the view from above. He would imagine himself looking down on situations from a cosmic perspective, seeing how small and temporary these complaints really were in the grand scheme of things. Your third option is to steer the conversation towards solutions or to change the subject to something more constructive. This requires skill and timing. Wait for a natural pause, then gently redirect. For example, if they're complaining about work, you might say, "That sounds challenging. What's one small thing that could make tomorrow better?" Or, "I've been curious about something completely different. Have you ever tried?" The key is to acknowledge their feeling without validating the complaint pattern. To quote Marcus Aurelius, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This timeless Stoic wisdom encourages us to guard our mental peace diligently, ensuring that the negativity from chronic complainers doesn't deviate us from our Stoic path of resilience and virtue. Practice these techniques consistently, and you'll find that complainers have less power over your emotional state. To focus more on solutions, remember you can't change them, but you can change how you interact with them, and that changes everything. Number 2, the drama magnet. Imagine you're navigating your life as if it were a ship sailing through calm waters. But then you encounter the whirlpool known as the drama magnet. This individual seems to have an unending series of crises, conflicts, or controversies. And like a whirlpool, they have an unsettling ability to suck you into their vortex of chaos. You might initially find yourself attracted to the drama magnet's energy, mistaking it for passion or excitement. However, you'll soon realize that being in their sphere is like navigating a ship through a storm, exhausting and dangerous. Now, what makes dealing with drama magnets so tricky is that their crises can often feel like your own. Their chaos is infectious. You might even find yourself embroiled in conflicts that you had no initial part in. The psychology behind drama addiction is fascinating. Drama triggers the release of adrenaline and cortisol, creating a natural high similar to extreme sports or thriller movies. Some people become addicted to this chemical rush. They unconsciously create or escalate situations to maintain their emotional arousal. Social media has amplified this tendency dramatically. Facebook drama cycles, Instagram comparison wars, Twitter conflicts and pile-ons, TikTok drama trends. These platforms reward emotional intensity with attention and validation. The more dramatic the post, the more engagement it receives. Narcissistic traits often underlie drama-seeking behavior. The drama magnet needs to be the center of attention. They need to feel important, needed, and involved in everything. Drama becomes their way of maintaining relevance and control. Let's explore a detailed friend group scenario. Imagine a close-knit group of 5 friends who've known each other since college. They have regular dinners, birthday celebrations, and vacation together. Then one friend, Alex, becomes a drama magnet. It starts small. Alex has a conflict with a coworker and needs advice. Then there's a family emergency that requires everyone's support. Then a romantic breakup that consumes group conversations for weeks. Soon, every gathering becomes dominated by Alex's latest crisis. Sarah's birthday dinner turns into a 3-hour therapy session about Alex's relationship problems. Mike's engagement party is overshadowed by Alex's work drama, is planned around Alex's family emergency. Friends start taking sides. Some feel obligated to support Alex, others feel resentful about the constant drama. 2 friends stop coming to group events altogether. The remaining 3 are exhausted but feel guilty about abandoning Alex. This is how drama destroys social capital. It consumes time, energy, and emotional bandwidth. It forces people to choose sides. It creates tension and resentment. Eventually, the group either disbands or establishes strict boundaries with the drama magnet. Here's another scenario involving romantic drama. Jessica starts dating someone new, and suddenly her entire social circle is affected. Her new partner has conflicts with Jessica's best friend. There are arguments about how much time Jessica spends with her friends versus her partner. There's drama about social media posts, about past relationships, about future plans. Every friend is forced to listen to detailed accounts of every argument, every disagreement, every emotional up and down. Friends start avoiding Jessica because they don't want to get involved. They make excuses when she calls. They stop inviting her to things. The drama spills over into work, into family events, into every aspect of Jessica's life. Eventually, Jessica has to choose between her relationship and her friendships. Either way, she loses something important. So how do you protect yourself from drama magnets while maintaining your relationships and integrity? The first strategy is what I call the drama detox protocol. Identify the drama patterns in your life. Track how much time and energy they consume. Calculate the cost to your mental health and productivity. This awareness alone can be motivating enough to create change. The second strategy is developing emergency exit techniques. Have prepared phrases that allow you to disengage gracefully. I need to take care of something. Can we continue this later? I'm not in the right headspace to give this the attention it deserves. I have a hard stop in 5 minutes. These phrases allow you to maintain the relationship while protecting your boundaries. The third strategy is building drama-resistant relationships. Seek out people who prefer solutions over drama, who take responsibility for their choices, who can handle their own emotional regulation. Cultivate friendships based on mutual growth, support, and genuine connection, not shared crises. Recognize the early warning signs of drama magnets. They often have a pattern of broken relationships. They tell stories where they're always the victim or the hero. They seem to thrive on chaos and conflict. They get bored when things are calm and peaceful. When you recognize these patterns, you can make conscious choices about how much access these people have to your life. Create personal drama-free zones. Times and places where drama is not allowed. Maybe it's your morning routine, your workout time, your family dinner, your work hours. Protect these zones fiercely. As Seneca said, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. This can be particularly helpful when dealing with drama magnets. Instead of anxiously wondering what crisis will happen next, concentrate on the present moment where you have control. Enjoy your life and don't let it be disrupted by someone else's drama. Make it a point to sail your ship calmly, steering clear of whirlpools that threaten your voyage towards personal growth and tranquility. Number 3, the naysayer. Picture this. You're an artist painting a canvas. Each brush stroke adds color, depth, and life to your vision. Enter the naysayer. They walk into your studio, glance at your work, and immediately begin to critique it. Are you sure about that color? That doesn't look realistic. You know, most artists never make it right. Their words, like strokes of gray paint, start to dull your vibrant canvas. This isn't your standard constructive criticism, which can be valuable. Instead, it's a persistent aura of doubt and negativity. The psychology of naysaying is deeply connected to mindset. Carol Dweck's research on fixed versus growth mindset reveals something profound. People with fixed mindsets believe that abilities and intelligence are static. They see challenges as threats and failure as proof of limitation. People with growth mindsets believe that abilities can be developed. They see challenges as opportunities and failure as feedback. Naysayers typically operate from fixed mindsets. They project their own limitations onto others. When they say you can't do something, they're really saying, I couldn't do it. Childhood experiences often create naysaying behavior. Maybe they were criticized harshly for trying new things. Maybe they failed at something important and never recovered. Maybe they were surrounded by naysayers themselves and learned this pattern. The neuroscience of belief change shows that our brains actually resist information that contradicts our existing beliefs. When a naysayer says something won't work, they're not just being negative, they're protecting their worldview. Let me share some inspiring historical examples. Thomas Edison was told by his teachers that he was too stupid to learn anything. He was fired from his first 2 jobs for being non-productive. When he was working on the light bulb, a newspaper reporter ridiculed him, saying, "Edison failed over 1,000 times." Edison responded, "I have not failed 1,000 times. I've successfully found 1,000 ways that won't work." J.K. Rowling faced rejection from 12 publishing houses before Harry Potter was accepted. She was told that children's books didn't make money, that her writing was too complex, that there was no market for wizard stories. Colonel Sanders faced over 1,000 rejections before someone agreed to franchise his chicken recipe. He was 65 years old with only a Social Security check to live on. What these figures teach us about persistence is that naysayers are often wrong. They're limited by their own experiences, their fears, and their inability to imagine possibilities beyond their reality. In the modern world, we see this pattern repeat constantly. Startup founders who ignore venture capitalists who say their ideas won't work. Social media creators who face ridicule and doubt before building massive audiences. Career changers who prove critics wrong by succeeding in entirely new fields. Small business owners who thrive despite skepticism from industry experts. The pattern is always the same. Someone believes in themselves more than others believe in them. They work harder than others think necessary. They persist longer than others think possible. But naysayers aren't just strangers or critics. Often, they're people close to us. Parents who doubt our career choices, spouses who fear change and the risks it might bring, siblings who compete through criticism, friends who project their own failures onto our dreams. Handling naysayer family gatherings requires special skill. Thanksgiving dinner becomes a minefield of doubts and concerns. Are you sure that's a good career move? I heard that industry is really tough. Maybe you should just get a stable job. Your cousin just bought a house and they have a secure government position. These comments come from love, but they land like poison darts. They plant seeds of doubt that can grow into weeds of insecurity. So, how do you deal with naysayers, especially when they might be someone close to you? One unconventional but effective method is to ask them for advice rather than just sharing your plans or aspirations. When people are put in an advisory role, they're less likely to attack your ideas outright and may offer more constructive feedback. Instead of saying, "I'm going to quit my job and start a business." Try saying, "I'm considering a career change, and I really value your perspective." What advice would you give someone making this kind of transition? Another method involves flipping the script through a technique called positive confrontation. Instead of absorbing their negativity, challenge them to think of solutions. If they say, "You'll never be able to switch careers at this stage," counter with, "Interesting perspective. How do you think someone could successfully make a career change then?" This not only deflects the negativity, but also encourages a more constructive form of conversation. Remember the words of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Listening doesn't mean absorbing everyone's negativity. It means discerning valuable input from mere noise. When the naysayers start to cloud your canvas with their shades of doubt, take a step back. Listen, reflect, and continue painting your own life with the colors that speak to you. Don't let anyone turn your vibrant masterpiece into a dull gray landscape. Number 4, the victim. Imagine life as a game of chess. Each player has the same pieces in the same goal: to checkmate the opponent's king. You think strategically, make some sacrifices, and take some risks. The victim, however, blames the board, the pieces, or even their opponent for every poor move they make. In their eyes, they're perpetually in checkmate, not because of their choices working against them. Their narrative is a never-ending tale of woe, with themselves cast as the helpless protagonist. "I can't get ahead in my job because my boss dislikes me. I can't get fit because I have bad genetics." Now, it's crucial to note that some people face genuine hardships and systemic issues. However, the victim we're discussing uses their predicament as a permanent excuse, refusing to take any responsibility for their actions or lack thereof. The psychology of victim mentality is complex and deeply rooted. There's a fundamental difference between genuine victimization and victim mentality. Genuine victimization happens when something bad happens to you. Victim mentality happens when something bad happens to you, and you decide that defines your entire identity and future. Childhood trauma often contributes to learned helplessness. When children experience adverse events they can't control, they may develop a belief that nothing they do matters. This belief can persist into adulthood, affecting every area of life. There's also a strange comfort in victim identity. Being a victim absolves you of responsibility. It provides a ready-made explanation for any failure. Secondary gains from victimhood include reduced expectations from others, increased support and care, and a sense of moral superiority. The neuroscience of blame versus responsibility is fascinating. When we blame others, our brain releases cortisol and adrenaline, creating stress but also a sense of righteous indignation. When we take responsibility, our brain releases dopamine and serotonin, creating feelings of empowerment and control. Yet many people choose the temporary satisfaction of blame over the lasting empowerment of responsibility. Let me share a detailed family scenario. The Johnson family had 3 adult children. The oldest, Michael, was the family victim. Nothing was ever his fault. He lost his job because his boss was unfair. His marriage failed because his wife was demanding. His health problems were because of genetics. His parents enabled this behavior, constantly bailing him out financially, making excuses for him, shielding him from consequences. His siblings resented the special treatment, but felt guilty for their resentment. Family gatherings became tense. Everyone walked on eggshells, trying not to trigger Michael's latest tale of injustice. Holiday dinners were dominated by his problems. Family resources were diverted to support his lifestyle. The pattern continued for years until the parents passed away. Suddenly, Michael had to face reality. Without his enablers, he had to take responsibility. It was painful, but it was also the first step toward genuine healing. Here's another scenario involving romantic relationships. Lisa had a pattern of dating victims. Her first boyfriend couldn't keep a job because the economy was terrible. Her second husband was an alcoholic because he had a stressful childhood. Her third partner couldn't commit because of his past relationship trauma. Lisa saw herself as a rescuer. She was attracted to people who needed saving. She felt needed and important when she was helping someone overcome their circumstances. But these relationships always ended the same way. Lisa would exhaust herself trying to fix someone who didn't really want to be fixed. She would become resentful and burned out. The relationship would collapse, leaving Lisa feeling like a failure. This is the rescuer attraction pattern. Many people who grew up in families with victim mentalities develop a compulsion to rescue others. It's a way to fix the past by saving someone in the present. Workplace victim scenarios can be equally challenging. The "it's not my job" colleague who refuses to help with tasks outside their strict job description. The team member who blames management for their poor performance. The employee who brings personal problems to work and expects special consideration. These behaviors destroy team culture. They create resentment, reduce productivity, and make it impossible to build a high-performing team. So how do you deal with victims while maintaining your compassion and integrity? The key is compassionate detachment. Show empathy and kindness, but don't try to rescue them from situations they need to navigate themselves. This is incredibly difficult because our natural instinct is to help, but sometimes the most loving thing you can do is allow someone to face the natural consequences of their choices. The three-step detachment process works like this. First, acknowledge their pain without validating their victim narrative. That sounds really difficult. I can see why you're struggling. Second, set clear boundaries about what you will and won't do. I'm here to listen and support you, but I can't solve this for you. Third, maintain your boundaries consistently even when they push back. This process requires strength and consistency. It also requires wisdom to know when intervention helps versus when it harms. Sometimes people genuinely need support through difficult circumstances. Other times they need to develop the strength to handle their own challenges. Self-care is crucial when dealing with victims. Their emotional needs can be all-consuming. Their problems can dominate your thoughts and conversations. You need to protect your own mental and emotional health. Recognize your own victim tendencies. We all have moments when we blame circumstances instead of taking responsibility. The key is to catch ourselves and choose a different path. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." If you find yourself sucked into the victim's narrative, resist the urge to become one yourself. Take control of your own game board. Make your moves. In the chess game of life, being perpetually in checkmate is often a choice, not a fate. Keep your pieces moving forward, make strategic sacrifices when necessary, and play not for revenge or pity, but for growth and wisdom. Number 5. The toxic positivist. You know this person. They're always exuding sunshine, rainbows, and endless streams of emojis. They're the ones telling you to just be happy when you're going through a difficult period, dismissing your feelings and experiences with a flippant wave of glittery optimism. Imagine your life as a garden. There are flowers, but there are also weeds and pests. A toxic positivist, however, insists on ignoring anything that isn't a blooming rose. Got aphids on your leaves? Just focus on the flowers. Don't let negativity into your garden, they'd say. While it sounds uplifting, their approach can make you feel invalidated and disconnected from reality. The research on toxic positivity reveals some concerning truths. Forced positivity actually suppresses emotional processing. When we deny or ignore negative emotions, they don't go away. They go underground and often manifest as anxiety, depression, or physical symptoms. The psychology of forced positivity often stems from good intentions. People want to help others feel better. They want to fix problems. They're uncomfortable with negative emotions, but their discomfort leads them to dismiss rather than support. Emotional suppression has serious health consequences. Studies link it to cardiovascular problems, weakened immune system, and increased risk of mental health issues. Authentic emotional expression is crucial for psychological well-being. There's an important difference between optimism and toxic positivity. Optimism acknowledges reality while maintaining hope for the future. Toxic positivity denies reality and insists on positive feelings regardless of circumstances. Cultural factors play a role too. Some cultures, particularly in America, emphasize happiness and success as measures of personal worth. This creates pressure to appear happy even when struggling. Social media amplifies this pressure. Everyone presents their highlight reel, creating the illusion that everyone else is happy all the time. Let me share a scenario about grief and loss. When Maria's mother died after a long illness, she was devastated. She expected support from her friends and family. Instead, she encountered toxic positivity. At least she's in a better place. You should be grateful for the time you had. Everything happens for a reason. God doesn't give you more than you can handle. These messages made Maria feel isolated and broken. She felt like she was grieving wrong. She started hiding her sadness, pretending she was fine when she was crumbling inside. It took her years to process her grief because she hadn't been allowed to feel it authentically. Supporting someone through loss authentically means creating space for their pain. It means sitting with them in darkness rather than trying to drag them into the light. It means validating their feelings rather than trying to fix them. Here's another scenario about depression and anxiety. David struggled with depression for years. When he tried to talk about his struggles, he received toxic positivity in response. Just think positive. Count your blessings. Other people have it worse. You have so much to be happy about. These messages made David feel ashamed of his depression. He felt like he was failing at being happy. He stopped talking about his struggles, which made his depression worse. He resisted seeking medication because positive people shouldn't need pills. This is the danger of spiritual bypassing, using spiritual concept to avoid dealing with difficult emotions. Toxic positivity prevents help seeking by making people feel like they should be able to think their way out of serious mental health conditions. Supporting mental health authentically means balancing hope with reality. It means acknowledging the difficulty while maintaining belief in recovery. It means encouraging professional help when needed. Emotional intelligence practices can help develop a healthier approach to emotions. The full spectrum of emotions is valuable. Joy, sadness, anger, fear, disgust, surprise. Each emotion provides important information about our environment and needs. Emotional granularity training helps us identify and label our specific feelings. Instead of just feeling bad, we might feel disappointed, frustrated, lonely, overwhelmed. This precision helps us respond more effectively. Holding space for others' pain is a crucial skill. It means being present without trying to fix them. It means listening without judgment. It means validating their experience. Authentic vulnerability skills involve sharing our own struggles appropriately. It creates connection and reduces shame. It shows others that they're not alone. Balancing support and challenge is key. Sometimes people need comfort. Sometimes they need gentle encouragement to move forward. Wisdom is knowing which is needed when. Building authentic connection requires deep listening skills, hearing not just the words but the emotions behind them. Validation techniques show that you understand and accept their feelings. Sharing your own struggles creates mutual understanding. Creating safe emotional spaces where people can be authentic without fear of judgment. The power of Me Too creates connection and reduces isolation. Building authentic communities requires accepting both light and shadow in ourselves and others. As Seneca said, true happiness is to understand our duty toward God and man, to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Notice the balance, understanding duties, which aren't always pleasant, and enjoying the present. A Stoic approach isn't about focusing solely on the positive or the negative. It's about embracing life's complexity with equanimity. So the next time the toxic positivist sprinkles their confetti on your carefully tended garden, take a step back. Remember that a garden needs both sunshine and rain to flourish. Embrace your full emotional spectrum and keep nurturing your garden with the richness and complexity it deserves. Number 6, the manipulator. Picture your life as a movie script. You're the main character, and you have an idea of how your story should unfold, where the twists are, who your allies and mentors are, and what your final act looks like. Enter the manipulator, the shadowy producer who subtly rewrites your script without you even realizing it, until one day you find your storyline has veered off course. The manipulator is skilled in the art of emotional or psychological maneuvering. They might use flattery, guilt trips, or even deceit to steer you in a direction that benefits them. Manipulation psychology reveals some disturbing patterns. The dark triad of personality traits, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, often underlie manipulative behavior. Narcissists manipulate to maintain their sense of superiority. Machiavellians manipulate for personal gain. Psychopaths manipulate without empathy or concern for others. Early childhood development plays a crucial role. Children who don't develop healthy empathy may learn to manipulate others to get their needs met. Manipulation becomes a survival strategy when direct communication feels unsafe or ineffective. The neuroscience of manipulation is fascinating. Manipulators often have heightened ability to read others' emotions and vulnerabilities. They use this skill to identify and exploit weaknesses, but they lack the empathy that would prevent them from harming others. Recognizing manipulation patterns is essential for self-protection. Love bombing, excessive flattery and attention early in relationships, gaslighting, making you doubt your own perceptions, guilt tripping, making you feel responsible for their happiness, playing the victim to avoid responsibility, triangulation, bringing third parties into conflicts. Let me share a detailed workplace scenario. Amanda worked in sales with a colleague named Robert, who was a master manipulator. Robert would take credit for Amanda's ideas in meetings. He would strategically withhold information that Amanda needed for her projects. He would compliment her to her face but criticize her behind her back. He would create conflicts between team members, then position himself as the peacemaker. He would use personal information against Amanda, sharing her private struggles with management to undermine her credibility. The impact was devastating. Amanda's confidence plummeted. Her performance suffered. She started doubting her own abilities and perceptions. She felt isolated and paranoid, wondering who she could trust. Robert's manipulation was so subtle that when Amanda tried to complain, she sounded unstable and overly sensitive. Here's another workplace scenario involving emotional manipulation. David managed a team member named Lisa, who was expert at guilt tripping. Lisa would constantly mention her personal struggles, her sick mother, her financial problems, her difficult divorce. Whenever David assigned her challenging tasks, she would say things like, "I know you're under pressure, but I'm really struggling right now." Or, "I wish I could focus better, but my personal life is such a mess." To help her out, he was working extra hours. His own performance suffered. His family complained about his absence. Lisa's manipulation was effective because it preyed on David's compassion and sense of responsibility. Family manipulation dynamics can be even more complex. Parents who manipulate adult children through guilt or financial control. Siblings who manipulate for inheritance or favoritism. Extended family members who use emotional blackmail to get their way. Holiday gatherings become minefields of subtle manipulation. Gifts with strings attached, compliments that are actually criticism, questions designed to gather information for future manipulation. So how do you protect yourself from manipulators while maintaining your integrity? One powerful technique is called fogging. This involves agreeing with any truth in the manipulator's statements, but refusing to be moved by emotional coercion. If they say, "You're so successful, you should help me more," you could respond, "You're right that I've been successful, and I'm happy to help within my boundaries." Another approach is setting clear boundaries and enforcing them consistently. If the manipulator wants you to lend them money or commit to tasks you're uncomfortable with, learn to say no assertively. Keep your tone calm and your words clear. "I can't lend money, but I'm here to offer emotional support," sets a boundary while maintaining the relationship. Documentation is crucial when dealing with manipulators. Keep records of conversations, save emails and messages. Document incidents of manipulation. This creates a paper trail that can be used if you need to involve HR or other authorities. Building alliances against manipulators is also important. Manipulators thrive on isolation. They try to separate their targets from their support systems. By maintaining strong connections with trusted friends, colleagues, and mentors, you create a buffer against manipulation. Recognize red flags early. Love bombing that feels too intense too soon. Inconsistencies between words and actions. Stories that don't quite add up. Attempts to isolate you from others. Excessive flattery that feels inauthentic. When you recognize these patterns, create distance immediately. It's easier to avoid manipulation than to recover from it. Drawing inspiration from Stoic thought, Epictetus warned us, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." The manipulator thrives on your predictable reactions. They manipulate your kindness, your guilt, or your desire for approval. By choosing to respond differently, you're taking control of your script again. So if you find a manipulator lurking in your life, remember that you're the one holding the pen. Your storyline is yours to write. And while the cast may include a variety of characters, the protagonist's journey, your journey, should always be guided by your own values and decisions. Reclaim your script and don't let anyone manipulate your life's narrative. Number 7. The time vampire. Imagine your daily routine as a carefully crafted symphony. Each instrument represents a task or commitment, and when played together, they create a harmonious balance. But then the time vampire joins in, screeching off key, drowning out your melody, and turning your beautiful composition into discordant noise. The time vampire is not necessarily malicious. In fact, they might seem quite benign. It could be a colleague who constantly interrupts you with trivial questions, turning your productive workday into a series of fragmented moments. Or it could be a friend who invites you to countless social events that you're not interested in, making you feel obligated to attend and draining your time and energy. These interactions might seem inconsequential in the moment, but the cumulative effect can be profoundly disruptive. The science of attention and focus reveals why time vampires are so damaging. Research shows that it takes an average of 23 minutes to regain focus after an interruption. Each time vampire bite costs you nearly half an hour of productivity. Energy management is even more crucial than time management. Your mental energy is a finite resource. Each decision, each conversation, each interruption depletes it. Time vampires don't just steal your time, they drain your cognitive resources. The cost of context switching is staggering. When you jump between tasks, your brain uses additional glucose and oxygen. This creates mental fatigue, reduced decision quality, and increased stress. Your brain has natural cycles of peak performance and rest. Time vampires disrupt these cycles, forcing you to work when your energy is low and preventing you from resting when you need to recover. The psychology of obligation makes time vampires particularly effective. We're social creatures wired to help others. Saying no feels selfish or rude. Time vampires exploit this social programming. They make their requests seem small and reasonable, but the cumulative effect is massive. Digital age time challenges have exacerbated this problem. Social media infinite scroll, email and notification overload, Zoom fatigue in virtual meetings, the expectation of constant availability. Technology that was supposed to save us time has actually created more opportunities for time theft. Let me share a detailed workplace scenario. Mark worked in an open office with a colleague named Jennifer, who was a meeting dominator. Jennifer would invite Mark to meetings he didn't need to attend. She would hijack meeting agendas, going off on tangents that interested only her. She would schedule emergency meetings for issues that could have been handled with an email. She would dominate question and answer sessions, asking multiple follow-up questions. The impact on Mark's productivity was significant. He was losing hours each week to unnecessary meetings. His deep work time was constantly fragmented. He started coming in early and staying late just to get his actual work done. His stress levels increased. His work-life balance suffered. Here's another workplace scenario involving the social colleague. Sarah worked with Tom, who was constantly socializing. Tom would stop by Sarah's desk multiple times a day just to chat. He would extend lunch hours into 2-hour social sessions. He would organize after-work events and pressure people to attend. He would celebrate birthdays, promotions, and even minor achievements with elaborate, time-consuming rituals. Sarah felt guilty saying no. Tom was friendly and well-liked. She didn't want to seem antisocial, but she was falling behind on her work. Her performance reviews suffered. She was working weekends to catch up. The social pressure was relentless. So how do you protect your symphony from being ruined by time vampires? One effective strategy is the Pomodoro technique. Work in focused 25-minute intervals separated by short breaks. During these intervals, make it clear that you're not to be disturbed. This sets a boundary that protects your most productive times. Time blocking mastery is another powerful approach. Schedule specific blocks of time for different types of work. Deep work, shallow work, emails, meetings, personal time. Treat these blocks as appointments with yourself. Protect them as fiercely as you would protect appointments with others. Energy-based scheduling recognizes that not all hours are created equal. Schedule your most important work during your peak energy times. Use lower energy periods for routine tasks. This optimizes your natural rhythms rather than fighting against them. Saying no gracefully but firmly is a crucial skill. Instead of offering elaborate excuses, a simple, "I appreciate the invite, but I can't make it," suffices. Declining an invitation is not a rejection of the person. It's an affirmation of your own needs and priorities. Create time protection systems. Turn off notifications during focus periods. Set autoresponders for email. Use scheduling tools to limit meeting length. Create physical or digital barriers to interruptions. Build a culture that respects time, both yours and others. Model focused work behavior. Encourage efficient meetings. Celebrate productivity over busyness. As Seneca said, "Life, if well lived, is long enough." Stoicism teaches us that time is one of our most precious resources, one that should be allocated wisely. It's the canvas upon which we paint the portrait of our lives, and we should be highly selective about who and what deserves the stroke of our brush. In the grand composition of your life, make sure each note, each instrument, each melody aligns with your greater purpose. Don't let the cacophonous intrusion of a time vampire throw your symphony into disarray. Hold the baton firmly and conduct your life with purpose, ensuring that every moment is a note well played in your harmonious masterpiece. Stoic principles for modern relationships. Now that we've explored the 7 types of people who can derail your progress, let's dive deeper into the Stoic principles that can guide your relationships. The dichotomy of control is perhaps the most fundamental Stoic concept for navigating social challenges. Some things are up to us, and some are not up to us. This means you can control your thoughts, your actions, your responses, your boundaries. You cannot control others' behavior, their opinions, their choices, their reactions. The circle of influence versus concern is a practical application of this principle. Your circle of influence includes the things you can directly affect: your own behavior, your responses, your choices. Your circle of concern includes things you care about but cannot control: others' behavior, societal problems, external events. Stoic wisdom advises focusing on your circle of influence, accepting others' choices while protecting yourself. This doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior. It means recognizing that you cannot force others to change, but you can change how you interact with them. You can set boundaries. You can choose your responses. You can decide who gets access to your life. Virtue ethics provides another framework for relationship decisions. Wisdom in relationship choices means recognizing which relationships serve your growth and which drain your energy. Justice in setting boundaries means treating others fairly while also treating yourself fairly. Courage in difficult conversations means addressing issues directly rather than avoiding them. Temperance in emotional responses means maintaining balance even when others are chaotic. How virtue guides relationship decisions becomes clear when you face tough choices. Should I maintain this friendship even though it drains me? Should I confront this person about their behavior? Should I distance myself from a family member? Virtue provides the compass, wisdom shows you the path, courage helps you walk it. Emotional regulation techniques are essential for implementing these principles. The Stoic pause is a powerful practice. When someone triggers a strong emotion, pause before reacting. Take a breath. Observe your feeling without judgment. Choose your response deliberately. This small gap between stimulus and response is where your freedom lies. Cognitive reframing helps you see situations differently. Instead of thinking, "This person is trying to hurt me," reframe it as, "This person is acting from their own pain or fear." Instead of thinking, "This situation is unbearable," reframe it as, "This situation is challenging but temporary." Emotional distance without coldness is the goal. You can care about someone without absorbing their emotions. You can support someone without drowning in their struggles. Managing your emotional triggers requires self-awareness. Identify what situations or people trigger strong reactions in you. Understand why these triggers affect you. Develop strategies for managing them. This might mean limiting exposure, preparing responses in advance, or working with a therapist to heal underlying wounds. Daily Stoic relationship practices can transform your social life. Morning reflection on relationships. Take 5 minutes each morning to consider your key relationships. What energy do they bring to your life? How do you want to show up in these relationships today? What boundaries might you need to set? Evening review of interactions. At the end of each day, review your social interactions. What went well? What could be improved? Did you act according to your values? Did you maintain your boundaries? Negative visualization for relationship appreciation. Periodically imagine losing important people in your life. This isn't about morbid thinking. It's about cultivating gratitude for the people who enrich your life. It helps you appreciate what you have while you have it. The view from above for relationship perspective. When you're caught in relationship drama, imagine yourself viewing the situation from high above. From this perspective, how important is this conflict really? What will matter in a week, a month, a year? This practice helps you respond with wisdom rather than reactivity. Journaling about relationship challenges provides clarity and insight. Write about difficult interactions. Explore your feelings and reactions. Brainstorm solutions. Track patterns in your relationships. This practice turns confusion into clarity and reactivity into response. Community building through Stoic practice creates a supportive environment. Seek out others who are committed to personal growth. Share your struggles and insights. Learn from others' experiences. Create a community that supports your values and goals. Practical response frameworks. Let's develop specific step-by-step frameworks for handling challenging relationships. Provides a structured approach. Notice when you're in a challenging interaction. Recognize the patterns, the triggers, the emotional responses. Pause before reacting. Create space between stimulus and response. Use the Stoic pause to center yourself. Reframe the situation. See it from a Stoic perspective. What can you control? What can't you control? How might this be an opportunity for growth? Choose your response wisely. Consider your values and long-term goals. Act with virtue and wisdom. Implement your chosen response. Reflect on the outcome. What worked? What didn't? What would you do differently? This framework turns reactivity into intentionality. Communication scripts provide specific language for difficult conversations. With complainers, I hear your frustration and I want to support you. Let's focus on one small solution we can implement today. Or, I care about you and I notice that we often focus on problems. Can we spend 5 minutes talking about something positive? With drama magnets. I can see you're going through a lot right now. I want to support you, but I need to protect my energy too. Can we find a time tomorrow when I can give you my full attention? With naysayers. I appreciate your concern about my plans. I've considered the risks and I'm moving forward thoughtfully. Your support would mean a lot to me. With victims. I can see how difficult this situation is for you. I believe in your ability to handle this. What's one small step you could take today? With toxic positivists, I understand you want to help me feel better. Right now, I need space to feel my emotions. Your presence is enough support. With manipulators, I hear what you're saying. I need some time to think about this before I respond. With time vampires, I'd love to help, but I'm not available right now. Can we schedule a time next week? Practice exercises help you develop these skills. Weekly relationship audits. Review your key relationships each week. Rate them based on how they make you feel. Identify any that need attention or boundaries. Plan specific actions for the coming week. Boundary setting practice logs. Track each time you set a boundary. Note the situation, your response, the outcome. What worked, what didn't, what you learned. This helps you build confidence and skill. Emotional regulation exercises. Practice the Stoic pause daily. Use cognitive reframing for minor annoyances. Develop a personal toolkit of calming techniques. Progress measurement techniques. Keep a journal of your relationship growth. Note improvements in your responses. Celebrate small victories. Learn from setbacks. Community support systems provide accountability and encouragement. Join or create a group focused on personal growth. Share your challenges and successes. Support others in their journey. Long-term relationship transformation planning. Set goals for your relationship improvements. Create a realistic timeline. Identify resources and support systems. Track your progress and adjust as needed. Conclusion and call to action. As we reach the finale of today's exploration into the characters who can derail our path towards Stoic resilience and wisdom, let's not forget that self-awareness is key. It's easy to recognize these types in others, but the more challenging and enlightening task is to look within. Are you perhaps unintentionally playing one of these roles in someone else's life? Remember, Stoicism isn't just about navigating the world. It's also about understanding and improving ourselves. The 7 types we've explored today, the complainer, the drama magnet, the naysayer, the victim, the toxic positivist, the manipulator, and the time vampire. These patterns exist on a spectrum. We all have moments when we complain, seek attention, doubt ourselves, blame others, force positivity, manipulate, or waste time. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is awareness and growth. The core Stoic principles we've discussed, the dichotomy of control, virtue ethics, emotional regulation, boundary setting, these aren't just theoretical concepts. They're practical tools for daily living. They're the foundation for building relationships that support your growth rather than derail it. Your relationships shape your reality, but you shape your relationships through your choices, your boundaries, your responses. You have the power to curate your social environment, to choose who gets access to your mind, your heart, your time. This isn't about being selfish or antisocial. It's about being strategic and intentional about your personal growth. Here are specific action steps you can take starting today. First, conduct a relationship audit. Rate each relationship based on how it makes you feel. Identify any that consistently drain your energy or derail your progress. Second, set one boundary this week. Choose one relationship that needs clearer boundaries. Practice saying no gracefully but firmly. Protect your time and energy. Third, practice the Stoic pause daily. When you feel triggered by someone's behavior, pause before reacting. Choose your response deliberately. Fourth, start a Stoic relationship journal. Write about your interactions, reflect on your responses, track your growth over time. Fifth, join our community. Share your experiences in the comments. Learn from others who are on the same journey. We're building a community of people committed to growth, wisdom, and authentic connection. I invite you to share your thoughts, experiences, and insights. Which of these 7 types resonated most with you? What strategies have worked for you? What challenges are you facing? Your stories help others feel less alone. Your insights provide valuable perspectives. Your questions spark important discussions. Together, we're creating a space for genuine transformation. In future videos, we'll explore advanced Stoic practices, specific techniques for workplace relationships, family dynamics and boundary setting, building your ideal social circle, and much more. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of this content. As we close, remember the words of Epictetus. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. This isn't just about avoiding negative influences. It's about actively seeking positive ones. It's about curating relationships that inspire you to grow, challenge you to improve, support you through difficulties, celebrate your successes. Your relationships are your greatest teachers. Choose them wisely, nurture them intentionally, learn from them constantly. Until next time, may your choices align with your virtues, may your actions reflect your wisdom, and may your life be the masterpiece you're meant to create. If you found value in this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps me continue creating content that combines ancient wisdom with modern practical application. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for committing to your growth. And thank you for being the architect of your own extraordinary life.